All right, we were just talking before we came live. I'm old enough to, I just turned 50 yesterday. I remember political correctness when I was in college, and for the most part, we rolled our eyes at it. But now cancel culture's real. It's destroying lives, it's destroying careers, and, Hillary used the word irredeemable. It seems like once you're the victim of cancel culture, there's no coming back.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And you hit the nail on the head. People ask me all the time, what is cancel culture? And it's not people trying to silence you. They're legitimately trying to destroy your life. They want to cancel you out of existence. They want to make sure you can never work again or provide for your family again. And, I'm a Christian, and we have this thing called grace and forgiveness. And that seems to have disappeared in today's culture, which is why I wrote this book.
Basic Communications 101, if you ever took it in college, there's the sender, the medium, the receiver, and then you have the message right over that. It used to be if somebody said or did something said something in the public square, and somebody with the receiver was offended, we would say as a society, well, what did you mean by that? And we would give someone the grace to explain themselves and even apologize. Now, it doesn't really matter what you meant by it. If they're upset and they're offended and they're part of cancel culture, you're dead, man. It doesn't matter if you didn't even mean anything by it or you said it 15 years ago. If you now hurt someone's feelings, you can't even say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head again with this idea that it's one thing to have said something today. What really annoys me more than even what's happening today is whenever you're getting canceled for something you said 10 or 15 years ago. And the rules have changed. What is offensive now wasn't necessarily offensive 10 or 15 years ago. So people are having to backtrack and apologize for things that they said 15, 20 years ago when, frankly, they're not even really sorry for it. Right? We're gotten to this point where even apologies don't mean anything because they're just demanding apologies every which way. No matter what you say, apologize, apologize, apologize. And it's really just gotten silly, man.
All right, so what are some of the rules for surviving cancel culture?
Yeah, look, number one, the first chapter of my book is all about developing mental toughness. And that's a weird thing. You talked about Communications 101 a while ago, and they don't talk about things like stoicism or taking cold showers or meditation or running marathons in Communications 101. But the one thing I have found with all of my clients, from big corporations like SeaWorld to politicians, U.S. senators, down to small business people, the people that succeed are mentally tough, and they can let logic dictate the decisions. The people that fail every single time are mentally weak people that let their emotions drive their decisions. Because frankly, when you're under fire by the woke liberal mob, and by the way, sometimes even on the conservative side, we have a tendency to cancel people. It's always those people that are letting their emotions drive their actions. They fail every single time.
How do you think this ends? I mean, you see people who are just getting axed left and right. And
yeah.
I think you see some of the elder statesmen who may be progressives in their politics, comedians, actors, musicians going, come on, man.
Yeah.
I was actually I was reading a thing that now they're saying the song, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, is considered racist. And someone wrote, do you think Joan Baez would sing a racist song? The song is from the perspective of somebody on the Confederate side who lost everything in the Civil War. It's not a pro-South or pro-Confederacy or pro-slavery song, but the mere mention that it even sympathizes somebody who may have lost everything on the Confederate side, they're saying, now we got to get rid of that song. Joan Baez is not good enough for you now?
Hey, you're not wrong, man. I'm taping this right now with you from Charleston, South Carolina. So I hear you. And they want to rename streets and rename monuments, everything around me right here in downtown Charleston. But your question was, how does this end? I think Joe Biden's going to end it, to be honest with you. If Joe Biden does anything good, it's that he might help end cancel culture. And let me tell you why. I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, man. I think what happens is when everybody has their basic needs met, when their shelter's taken care of, their food, their safety, then you go up a couple levels to comfort. When people don't have real problems to worry about, they start worrying about what someone tweeted or what a comedian said. And frankly, as a welfare kid, I can tell you, when you're worried about how you're going to eat, right? You're not worried about what someone tweeted. And I think as we head into a recession, as inflation gets worse, we may even head into a depression. I think Americans are going to have real problems on their hands. And I think that might take care of half the problem, to be honest with you.
So you're saying that's almost privileged thinking, right? Like the world is so good to you, this is what you have to get upset for. This is what bothers you. It's like you're sitting here in your Ivy League dormitory, so upset that you read 20 years ago a comedian told a joke that offends you now. You must have won the lottery if this is what's keeping you up at night.
Oh, you're exactly right. I heard a comedian say the other day on Netflix, I forget which one, I think it was Ricky Gervais, who said the most offensive thing you could say today is that women don't have penises, right? And if you would have said that 10 years ago, everybody would have been like, yeah, exactly. But now you'll get canceled for saying something like that. And that's because people don't have real problems. Look, there are people in America that are suffering. Let's be real. But we'll have it better than we ever had in world history, right? People they're so trapped in their frequent thinking that they forget to look back at the rest of world history. We have it so good right now that the only thing that we can really get ramped up about and upset about is what someone said. And frankly, that's quite silly.
So is it kind of the mental version of Idle Hands or the Devil's Workshop? Like if you had real problems, this wouldn't even be on your radar.
I think that's exactly right, man. But I think as gas prices go up and food prices go up, and I think inflation, obviously, I think the economy is going to start getting worse. I think people are going to start losing their jobs, and I think they're going to have real problems to worry about. And I think you're going to see some of this go away.
So hard times teaches you a lesson about what's important.
Exactly, man. I mean, look, they say that the old saying about hard times creating strong men and strong men creating good times. And the fact is that America's had it really, really good for the last couple decades. And look, I'm glad I've made money. You've probably made money. We've been prosperous. But when you're prosperous, you don't have real problems to worry about. So you start worrying about a comedian cracking a joke. But, in the book, I lay out a lot of different lessons on how to survive this, man. I actually went through a cancel crisis moment myself where I sent out some tweets. Not only am I a political consultant, but I also own a brewery here in Charleston. People were protesting outside of my brewery. And I wrote this book because, frankly, I'm just sick of seeing it, man. It went from corporations and politicians and celebrities now to just like any business owner or a cop or a teacher or a principal, and they could just say the wrong thing, and all of a sudden people are trying to ruin their lives. They're not just trying to silence them. They're trying to take their jobs and make sure they can never provide for their families. So having gone through that very emotional experience myself, I decided I would write a guidebook for people so that they don't have to go through what I went through.
The truth is, these little nitpicking left-wing Karens need to find something more important to deal with. It's like, if this is all you got in the world, that maybe you got your neighbor fired or something like that, you got to learn priorities.